During my initial days as an officer in the irrigation department, I would make frequent visits to the remote rural areas as the long, unpredictable journey was not liked by most of my older colleagues. Given my young age, the onus fell on me to make the field visits. I was in charge of Kamalpa subdivision, which was very near the Bhutan border. At a distance, one could see its blue Himalayan mountains. Thick forests ran along the contiguous border, and I often came across deer, rhinos, water buffaloes, and elephants while visiting the remote border areas. The villagers whom I met varied. Some were very suspicious, others affable, and some were always drunk. One met the drunks frequently on the way to the interior villages. The story which I am narrating now happened on one of my visits to a border tribal village. It was a place I hadn't visited before, and en route to the village on my motorcycle, I stopped suddenly at a crossroad. I was unsure of which direction to take now, for Kutcha roads ran in the four directions, eventually disappearing amidst the green forest lines stretched across the horizon. The roads were deserted, save a lone figure whom I saw was walking up to me unsteadily from the northern end. He was of a dark complexion and a strong build, but his clothes were dirty and that familiar aftersmell of alcohol was about him. I asked him for the direction to a citrus garden I was to visit. He smiled and spoke indistinctly, but pointed in the direction from where he came. I started my bike and headed off in the direction, not thinking twice about the drunkard. I reached the citrus garden and waited for the owner, who I was told would be arriving shortly. After 20 minutes or so, I saw the drunkard walking unsteadily on the stony road. He came up to me and saluted me. He talked animatedly to an employee there who was sweeping the courtyard of the garden's office, and then came towards me. He saluted me and pointed to a direction where his house was supposedly at. My house. There, sir. No problem. Here any problem. Mention my name. My house there, he said with a slur and pointed again in a direction which was covered with dense vegetation. I only nodded and smiled uneasily in response. The man would eventually loiter away, I thought. A little boy and girl were playing in the courtyard. He called them out and told them to come to him. The children gazed at him with suspicion. He pulled out from his shirt pocket 2 lozenges. Seeing this, the kids cautiously walked up to him and took the candy from his hands. He unwrapped the candy for the girl who was struggling to do it herself. "These are my kids," he said and smiled again. I smiled. The kids were fair-skinned and he was dark, so he must have been joking. The kids went back to playing again, chasing each other and raising a cloud of dust in their wake. The garden employee who was sweeping the courtyard admonished them harshly. The kids ran away to continue their play elsewhere. My house is there, sir. Right over there. If any problem, you mention my name, he said and started loitering around the city. In the meantime, the garden owner had arrived. He greeted me and informed me of the problems with the sprinkler system that he had installed under a government scheme. He also told me that a few meters from the garden, the conveyor pipe was leaking. I suggested we go there and do an inspection. He agreed, but asked me to take some oranges from his garden as a gift. My refusal was of no use, and he ordered one of his employees to keep a bag of freshly plucked oranges ready for me. He offered me tea as well, which he ordered another garden employee to make as we chatted for some time. After half an hour, having had our tea and betel nut, we mounted on my motorbike to survey the origin of the leakage. I noticed then that the drunkard had disappeared. I was right perhaps that he would have loitered away eventually. There was no need of using harsh language. He was a harmless being anyway. We started off. The owner sat behind me and gave the directions as I rode the bike. The direction in which we were headed was in fact the direction which the drunkard was pointing to all this time, the direction of his house. I noticed that there were no houses there. A dense patch of forest ended at the banks of a river, and leaning on the trunk of a big tree, I saw the drunkard with his eyes closed. He was snoring peacefully. A makeshift tent was set up beside the tree, and a dog was sleeping beside him. The dog rose to its feet when he saw us approach and started barking in a restrained manner, as if warning us that his master was asleep and we had better not wake him. We rode on, not wanting to be intruders in someone else's home. I saw in the side mirror that the dog crouched down beside his master after we left the place.